Tigress has always been a failure. Some of you are probably already reaching for the comments. How can the strongest member of the Furious Five, one of the greatest Kung Fu masters in the franchise, possibly be a failure? Well, let me ask you something. When was the last time Tigress actually defeated a main villain? Tai Lung? She lost. Lord Shen? Po defeated him. Kai? She fell again. And that's when I realized something. Tigress isn't remembered because of the villains she defeated. She's remembered because of the villains who defeated her. And once you notice that you start seeing a pattern, that completely changes the way you look at her character. But before we get there, we need to answer one question. Why did every single one of us believe Tigress should have been the one to win in the first place? The strange thing is, none of this should have happened. Because if there was one character built to defeat the biggest threats in Kung Fu Panda, it was Tigress. She wasn't the chosen one. She didn't have a magical destiny. She earned everything, every punch, every scar, every lesson. While Po stumbled his way through training, Tigress had spent her entire life preparing for moments like these. She was stronger, more disciplined, more experienced. And for years, fans, including me, thought her moment would eventually come. That one fight, that one villain, that one victory, that would finally belong to her. But it never did. And that's what makes this so frustrating. Because the more I rewatched these movies, the more I realized this wasn't just bad luck. It was happening over and over and over again.
Shifu taught you well. But he didn't teach you everything.
Before we go any further, if you enjoy looking at movies from a different perspective like this, consider subscribing. I make videos that dig beneath the surface of stories we all thought we understood. Now, let's see if this really is a pattern. Let's go back to the very beginning, not when Po became the Dragon Warrior. Before that, when Tigress was introduced, the movie wanted you to believe she was unstoppable. She's the first member of the Furious Five we truly pay attention to. Confident, disciplined, respected. Even the way she walks tells you, this is the one. And honestly, the movie wasn't lying. When Tai Lung escaped prison, who did everyone trust to stop him? Not Po, not Shifu, Tigress? She didn't hesitate. She gathered the Furious Five and marched straight toward the Jade Palace Bridge. Because this was supposed to be her moment. Except it wasn't. She lost badly. And that's completely fine. Heroes lose all the time. One defeat doesn't make someone a failure. But then, Kung Fu Panda 2 happened. This time, the villain wasn't stronger because of Kung Fu. He had cannons, an entire army, a weapon that could end Kung Fu itself. Surely, this would finally be the movie where Tigress gets her defining victory. It wasn't. Once again, Po was the one who changed everything. Then came Kai, the Spirit Warrior, a villain powerful enough to steal the chi of every Kung Fu master alive. And before Po ever faced him, Kai defeated Tigress too. At this point, I stopped asking, why does Tigress keep losing? And started asking something much more interesting. Why is she always the one who has to lose? Now, I can already hear the obvious response. But Po is the Dragon Warrior. Of course, he's the one who defeats the villain. And honestly, you're right. If Tigress defeated Tai Lung, there wouldn't be much of a movie. If she defeated Shen, Po's journey to inner peace wouldn't matter. If she defeated Kai, the entire message about mastering chi falls apart. Po has to be the hero. That was never the problem. The problem is what happens to Tigress while Po becomes that hero. Think about it. The movies constantly remind us she's one of the greatest fighters alive. They build her up. They earn our respect. They convince us she's capable of incredible things. And then, right when it matters most, she stops becoming a character and starts becoming a measuring stick. Not for us, for the villain. She's the obstacle every great villain has to overcome before they earn the right to face Po. And once I realized that, I couldn't unsee it, because suddenly, every one of Tigress' defeats had the exact same purpose. Not to tell us something about Tigress, but to tell us something about everyone else. So, was Tigress really a failure? If failure means never becoming the hero, then maybe. But if failure means she wasn't strong enough, then I don't think that's true at all. Because after looking at every one of these movies, I don't think Tigress loses, despite being the strongest. I think she loses because she is. Think about every villain we've talked about. Before Tai Lung could feel unstoppable, he had to defeat Tigress. Before Kai could feel invincible, he had to defeat Tigress. Again and again and again. Not because she wasn't enough, but because she was the standard. The mountain every villain had to climb before they reached Po. And maybe that's the tragedy of Tigress. She spends every movie proving she's one of the greatest warriors alive, only for the story to use that greatness to make someone else shine. That's why I called her a failure. Not because she failed as a fighter, not because she failed as a warrior, but because the story but never allowed her victories to belong to her. And maybe that's the greatest compliment the writers could ever give her. Because if defeating Tigress is what convinces us a villain is truly dangerous, then there was never anyone stronger to stand in their way.